Good afternoon, Phillies fans, and welcome back to the Fightins Final, a Phillies postgame show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And wow, 5-0, 5-0. Phillies lose today. So let's sort of capsulate it right for you. They go out in the first game of this series and they score 6 runs, and then they don't score anything for the next 2. What's it, 20 innings now without a run? They are batting collectively as a team with runners in scoring position after going 0 for 6 today. 207 with runners in scoring position. That is their batting average. They are getting nothing from the 4 and 5 holes of this lineup. Bryson Stott needs to not bat 5th ever again. Alec Bohm needs not bat 4th. These games are becoming, they're boring, they're lifeless. This offense this is not an offense right now. This is bad. But the question will be, in April, how bad is it? Because there's going to be a side of the fan base that says, just be patient. 12 games is not what the season is, doesn't consist of 12 games. But at what point do we need to start making some changes to the lineup? At what point does Rob Thompson need to say, enough's enough with Bryson Stott batting 5th? Enough's enough with not having Kyle Schwarber in the cleanup hole. At what point do you say, whatever the plan I had coming out of spring training offensively is just not working? And have we reached that point? And at what and how much of the manager's stubbornness is going to act as a detriment towards this team moving forward in terms of making changes? We just can't let it go. I mean, this offense it's not even worth watching these baseball games anymore. The team is lifeless offensively. They hurt out one unimaginative lineup after the next. Ridiculous in-game decisions. Justin Crawford gets yanked for Dylan Moore in this game as a pinch hitter. I'm not saying Justin Crawford was banging the cover off the ball in this baseball game. He wasn't. He was 0 for 2 with a strikeout before giving way to, Otto Kemp. Not Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore came in for Brandon Marsh. I got to get my pinch hitters straight. Justin Crawford was 0 for 2 with a strikeout before giving way to Otto Kemp. If your message to the team offensively that's struggling is to remove Justin Crawford from the lineup, perhaps we need to rethink the manager situation. If that's the message you're sending to your team, then I'm gonna show you guys struggle offensively, and I'm gonna take out the rookie. That's right. I'm leaving no stone unturned here, folks. You struggle offensively in this game, I'm removing the rookie. I'll show you. I don't understand the in-game decisions by this manager. I don't understand the pre-game decisions by this manager. I don't understand the aversion to batting Kyle Schwarber 4th and the obvious infatuation with batting Bryson Stott in the 5 hole. Bryson Stott today, I'm so tired of even looking at it. 0 for 4 with a strikeout. His average is now down to 167. Alec Bohm in the 4 hole was 0 for 4. His average is now down to 186. So you got a collective 0 for 8 from the meat of your lineup today. 0 for 8 was your meat of your lineup today. How much more do you got to see? You got 2 batters clogging up the middle of your lineup that are both batting under 200. How much more? Now, granted, Kyle Schwarber's batting 195. I get that. That's better than 167 and 186. How much more of this do we have to see? Of this ridiculous lineup construction. And don't talk to me about matchups and this nonsense. This guy doesn't look at, he picks and chooses that. So I don't even want to hear it anymore. Just it's becoming criminal. But offense is just flat out terrible. It is. And there's no magic wand you can wave. I get it. 12 games. I understand. And I get what this team is offensively. There's no secrets to that. This team is what they are offensively. But at what point do we start looking at the manager and start saying, what are you going to do about it? Because some of this stuff is self-inflicted. Some of these decisions and where these people are batting, where they're batting is the manager's decision. Now, granted, the performance of the player at the plate is not the manager. I understand that, but at what point do we start looking at the manager and start saying, what are you going to do to fix it? Is batting Stott 5, Bohm 4, keeping Schwarber up at 2, removing your rookie at the bottom of the lineup because he's struggling or whatever for a pinch hitter, and then taking out Brandon Marsh for a pinch hitter who's been arguably your hottest hitter in the lineup? What are you doing, man? What is the method behind the madness from Rob Thompson about, one, the lineup construction and the employment of that lineup during the game? At the end of the day, it's all down to the players offensively. And I'm going to get to Aaron Nola in a second, but it's not about Nola. It's not about Nola. It's not about the bullpen. It's always been about the friggin' offense. And the offense just is not that good. It hasn't been that good for 5 years. It hasn't been that clutch. And right now it's bordering on the line of criminal neglect. What is the manager going to do? 12 games in, is it enough to say we've seen enough? I would say it is, based primarily on the fact that it's not, as we said on the show before, it's not 12 games. It's like 512 of the same thing. Phillies lose 5-0. Took a pitcher in, and what's his name? Maley, who entered the game with an ERA over 7. And he got his ERA's down to 4 now. The Phillies, here's an interesting stat, and I'm gonna grab control of this show here in a second, I promise. Phillies today worked 5 giant walks. And again, I don't mean by size, I mean by the team. The Giants gave up 5 walks. Yesterday was 4 walks, and on Monday it was 6. So 15 walks the Phillies worked in this series, 15 of them. On the other side of that, the Phillies have given up 3 walks the entire series. Phillies pitching has given up 3 walks the entire series. Giants pitching gave up 15, and the Phillies haven't scored a run in the last 2 games, 2+ games. This doesn't make any sense. This does not make any sense. It doesn't, and it's frustrating. And when does the madness stop, man? And again, I'm not asking for anyone to be fired. Well, I am, but when do you say my idea coming out of Clearwater was terrible? I don't know what I was thinking about wanting to bat Stott 5th or Bohm 4th. I got to go back to what I know is working. Schwarber's got to go back in the cleanup hole. I'm going to move Garcia up to 5, Marsh into 6, Bohm down to 7, Stott to 8, and Crawford at 9. And stop picking on the rookie. What was the intent of lifting Justin Crawford, a kid who's learning how to play at the major league level, for Otto Kemp during this base? Don't you think Justin Crawford has to figure out how to work himself out of certain situations? And he's one of the better batters in your lineup anyway. Why are you taking him out for Otto Kemp? And then you do the same thing to Brandon Marsh, who is arguably your hottest hitter, for Dylan Moore. At 12 games in is truthful here. 12 games. But stupid is stupid. I don't care if it's game 12 or game 161. Stupid is stupid. Bad managing is bad managing, regardless of what game it is. Something's got to change. You don't ring the bell. You cannot lose a World Series, or I should say you cannot win a World Series in April, but you can lose one. Phillies fall to 500 now, 3-3 on the road trip, day off tomorrow. Well, before inviting the Diamondbacks in the CBP over the weekend. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here on this midday as the San Francisco Giants, a good 11, 12-minute rant about the inability and the criminal neglect of the manager, Rob Thompson, in hurting out yet another terrible lineup and executing it terribly. And then on the Phillies player side, just not doing their job again. Shut out for the second game in a row against a bad San Francisco Giant team. I don't want to say it is bad. They're bad. They're going to probably be dead last in the West. They got a manager, Tony Vitello, who's kind of out of his league right now. Maybe he figures it out as he moves on. But they had an opportunity to go in. I'm not asking for a series sweep, but to get the series win. Feel a little bit better, come out of this thing 4-2 on the trip, come home, a little bit of momentum. Yeah, we're going to snatch momentum out of the jaws of victory on this one, and we're going to come out 3-3, and we're going to give the Giants and that manager some false momentum, I guess. Amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. Just a complete shit show and 0 runs the last 20 innings. What's the point of watching anymore? And, Steve, that's a good point. And I know it's 12 games in, and I know what the homers are going to say. You can't judge the season off of 12 games. And they are 100% correct. But I can judge a season off of 512 games because that's about as long as this team's been together. And that's about as long as this same product has come out. And, you know, the frustration of this all is it's not frustration because I think the season's over. No, of course I don't. But it's frustration because we've been down this road a billion times before, and here we go again. But nothing changes in this town. Nothing changes with this baseball team. This manager has an aversion to change. Patience is a virtue in the sport of baseball, yes. But you don't have to get slapped over the head 20 times with a baseball bat to realize when something is not working. Bryson Stott is not working in the 5-hole. He was never going to work there. I don't know where they came up with the plan to begin with. Alec Bohm is not going to work as a cleanup hitter. I don't care if it's lefty, 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 righty, righty, lefty, righty, righty. I don't care how that balances out in the lineup. I don't care about that. Kyle Schwarber needs to bat 4th. Bryson Stott needs to bat 8th. All right? That's really the meat of this. Stop trying to be the smartest man in the room. You're not Rob Thompson. You're not the smartest person in this room. Go back to let the fans choose the lineup for a week. There you go. That'll get me back. Let the fans choose the lineup for 1 week, and we'll see how we do. But at least if the lineup fails and they change it and it looks like an actual structured lineup, at least we can get the cosmetic thing there. Hey, at least it looks like it can work. But this ain't going to work, man. And leave Crawford alone. Let him play the game. Let him play games. Let him go through personal in-game scenarios. Let him figure out his own way out of slumps. And if the message was we're struggling offensively, so I'm going to take out the rookie, man, Thompson, you've lost the room, dude. If that's where we're at, where you're picking on a kid who don't know any better because the others don't listen to you, we got bigger problems. 21 innings, 0 runs. I think it's 20, but good point. I don't even think changing the lineup around would do much. I just think this core is stale. Pathetic. Someone needs to be fired, and Middleton needs to do it ASAP. Thompson won't change, and that's the bottom line now, isn't it? That's what the most frustrating part is. Phillies get caught looking at a decent amount of pitches around the middle. I mean, that was the entire series, but they took a lot of good. Listen, 15 walks. They worked 15 walks in this series, Elephant. They were getting on base. They were getting on base. They were. I thought they were adequately working pitch counts. They took a lot of decent pitches. I'll agree with you there. But it balanced out, in my opinion, by getting on base. They just can't. Tell me where you've heard this before. They just can't get the big hit. .206 is their batting average with runners in scoring position currently through 12 games this season. Their opponents are batting .245 with runners in scoring position against that. Just utterly amazing, man. Phillies have now left 98 batters or 98 runners on base through 12 games. They're averaging 8 runners left on base a game. Their opponents, 6 runners a game. You don't need to be what's his face, Moneyball guy to figure this out. This doesn't take much of an investigative approach. Oh, and by the way, the Phillies struck out today. How many times? They struck out 10 times. They have now hit 100 strikeouts on the season. They're averaging 8 strikeouts a game as a team. But Phillies pitching is still working the plate well. They're averaging 10 strikeouts per game. But we hit the 100 mark on strikeouts as a team in 2026. Horrible loss, Joe Hale says. They love analytics. No kidding. No kidding. I got you there, man. But at what point, man? And I was thinking about this earlier before the game. The way they've been playing, and I'll get to the defense too, because but the way they've been playing for a team that was just not a good team. For a team that's just not a good team, the way the Phillies have been playing, they'd be probably 2-12 right now or 2-10. You know, they'd be getting blown out at every game. But they've been playing poor, but yet they're 6-6, which is not terrible in April. It's not terrible in April. They've been losing really pathetic games. They look lifeless. They look all those things, but they're still just 6-6. If they were a lesser talented team, it would be really bad. So I got to thinking, how much is this team being held back by their manager? How much are the Phillies not achieving goals because of Rob Thompson? And has anybody ever given that any credence? Has anybody ever sat down and said, I think we're struggling in large part to the way our manager runs this team? Because the talent's here. Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier in the chat, who was it? Was it you there? Somebody said basically they're stale, they're burned out, the core sucks is what it is. And changing the lineup's not going to change things. I disagree. This is a talented baseball team. It may not be as talented as they think they are or as we think they are, but they are still a talented baseball team in Major League Baseball. How much are they being held back by their manager? And how much have they been held back by their manager in the past? Rob Thompson is truly one of the worst baseball people I've ever seen in my life. The actual physical sight of him makes me ill. I just want to slap him in the face with that binder of his. Physically makes me ill. That's smug. No response, no emotional type thing he's got going on. Just want to punch him in the face, man. Don't you? So does that mean does that trade mean keep being sent down? So does that trade mean Kemp being sent down? What trade? What the hell are you talking about? What trade? Did the trade just go down? Is Thompson Thompson is daring them to fire him with the continued shit shows or lineups, so they just don't do it. Or, or he just, to be like realistic, firing Rob Thompson in April is just it's not a feasible thing to do, and they're not going to do it. And I get that. I'm not saying that they're not starting to look at it and be like, well, you might have to make a plan here sooner than later, because there does come a point in the season where if they're going to make a change, they got to do it, because if they can't let it get too far out of control. And then whoever does come in has to have the opportunity to sort of blend the team together without it being too late in the season. So I'm not saying it's going to happen on the trip back. Man, ooh, that'd be great if it did. I mean, this would be the perfect chance right here. Get off the plane. Hey, Rob, we got to talk, man. And then, you got the day off tomorrow. Come out fresh on Friday with a new manager. I wouldn't be against it. I would not be against it. But realistically, that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think it necessarily should happen. Well, I do, but I'm trying to take the more neutral role here. I want to know, though, how much is this team being held back by their manager? And how much are they struggling? And again, at the end of the day, it's the players that got to perform. But how much are they struggling in part because of their manager is not putting them in the proper positions to succeed? This lineup construction since the beginning of the season, this obsession with not changing the lineup after a team who's batting 206 with runners in scoring position, who can't hit a ball hard to save their life, but this lack of decision to change it. And I don't mean putting Armando Sosa in the 5-hole either. That's not the change I'm talking about. But getting Kyle Schwarber's fat ass out of the 2-hole into the 4-hole where he belongs. But this obsession with not doing that, I don't get it. I don't get I really don't. But this is also the same guy that played Nick Castellanos for 162 games in 2024. Got to remember that. This is a guy that went down swinging with that. So he can wait you out. He has no problems doing that. But that smug, emotionless look on his face, you just want to hit him, don't you? All right, let's move on to the other facets of this game. Aaron Nola today went six medium to above average innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. They were earned, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a homer, which was the actual only mistake he really made. 84 pitches through 6 innings. He was actually cruising along until that incident there with Devers. But, to me, I think it's the weirdest thing to say. He pitched well except for the home run or the home runs. It's typically a plural. Aaron Nola has now surrendered 3 home runs this year in 3 starts. He's averaging a home run a start. I'm never going to accept that. I don't care if it's a solo shot. Today it wasn't. It was 3-run jack. Nola can't give up the big long ball, and especially in a game like today, which I would take the start. It was a quality effort. It kept the team in the game. The offense did nothing to support him. You should be able to battle back from a 3-run deficit. You should have been able to absorb that home run. But in a game like this, that was the death knell, because that they weren't coming back. But he pitched again. He's a 3.63 ERA at this point, pitching well. I mean, pitching better than his ERA that was north of 6 last year. So a quality start for Aaron Nola today. I think it's safe to say that. The rest of the Phillies bullpen had their issues as well, especially Jose Alvarado. PFP enters the fray again as Alvarado gets a little tapper back to the mound and then promptly throws it away. I mean, can't make this stuff up. Maybe Matt Strahm was right. Maybe Matt Strahm was right all along about the PFP. But Bolin pitched an inning, gave up a hit and a strikeout. Alvarado had the half inning, 2 hits, 2 runs. Only one of those 2 were earned. Again, they gave him an error for the other run, and he struck out 2. And Zach Pop came in and pitched a scoreless third of an inning and gave up a hit. And that is your line for the Phillies pitching today. Maley went 5.5 innings, 3 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 94 pitches in 5.5 or 5 2/3. Sorry, and lowers that ERA from north of 7 down to 4.30. Does not get credit for the win, by the way. Noah did absorb the loss in this, so he's now 1-1. Gage, who gets the win, Killian, Tidwell, and Miller all pitched as well for the Giants today in the winning effort. And there you go. Again, offensively, let's take this look. Let's look at the box score, I guess. No runs for the Phillies on 4 hits and an error, 5 runs on 9 hits, and no errors for the Giants. Where do I start? It's going to be a real short list here. I guess you can give offensive standout honors to Schwarber or Harper, who were, 2 for 5 collectively today with 3 walks. So they were getting on base. The 2 and 3 hitters, that no one was picking them up. Turner was another dreadful 0 for 3. And again, that middle part of the lineup, the 4 and 5, collectively 0 for 8 with the strikeout between Bohm and Stott. Bohm batting 186 now, and Bryson Stott batting 167. And just putting in some terrible at-bats, by the way. Garcia was 1 for 3. Marsh was 0 for 3 before being lifted. He also had 2 strikeouts, but was lifted for Dylan Moore, who went 0 for 1 with the strikeout. Marchand 0 for 4. Justin Crawford was 0 for 2 with a strikeout before giving way to Otto Kemp, who went 0 for 2 or went 1 for 2 with a strikeout. So again, I'm trying to, and then we're going to put Kemp back out in the outfield. So not only did Thompson take Justin Crawford out of another situation, snatches another learning opportunity away from Justin Crawford by giving him an opportunity down there in the bottom of the lineup to figure himself out. But not only does he do that, he puts Otto, I can't play left field, Kemp back in the game, back in the outfield to play the outfield and left field. Utterly amazing. Utterly, absolutely amazing, this manager. Just utterly amazing. Offensively for the Giants, the top part of that lineup has been a nightmare for the Phillies all series long, and they were again today. The big standout for me is Luis Arraez, 2 for 2 with 2 runs and a walk. He was a free agent. You know that, right, folks? For those of you that might listen to my other show, The Final Word, Luis Arraez was a free agent this past winter. Came out of the San Diego Padres. That was the team he was with last year. I was coveting him big time. Boy, oh boy, did I want him here. And he's a second baseman by trade. But as you can see, they can play him at DH as well. He gives you a lot more versatility in that lineup. But no, we're going to stick with Bryson Stott. Yeah, we're not going to get creative. We're going to re-sign our own. We're going to re-sign Kyle Schwarber. We're going to re-sign JT Realmuto. We're not going to go against the grain on anything and let a player like Arraez go. But he was 2 for 2. I'm going to give him, even though Devers ended up the day with 2 for 4, he had the big hit, the 3-run jack, ended up with 4 RBIs. I'm going with Luis Arraez as my offensive player of the game because he's just been a consistent thorn in the side of the Phillies all series long. Even though Devers had the better collective effort individually today, was pretty much responsible for just about all the Giant offense. And that was really it. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 top 5 hitters in this lineup torched the Phillies all series long. And that's if you want to see how a 1 through 5 is supposed to work in a lineup, take a look at what the Giants did this series, and then versus what we do with our top 1 through 5, and you can really tell the difference. Phillies, again, were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on base for the day. The Giants were 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They left 5. Phillies were benefactors of 5 Giants walks and did absolutely nothing with them. 15 walks the Phillies worked through this series, and other than game 1, did absolutely nothing with any of them. Phillies struck out 10 more times today to eclipse 100 for the season as a team. And they get shut out for the second straight game in this series. And that's that. And you know, I don't know what else to say about it, man. I don't know what else to say. 5-0. Lifeless, not creative, nothing. All right, let's go to our Broad Street bottom line here on the Fightins Final. All right, the Fightins or the Broad Street bottom line today is brought to you by the Clear the Ice, the Consummate Flyer postgame. Now, what am I doing? That's the wrong one. The Consummate, yeah, it is the right one. What am I doing? The Consummate Flyer postgame show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, and this is our lineup for the rest of the week. Mike was here last night. I'll be back tomorrow night to do Flyers Red Wings as part of a twofer with the Final Word, and Mike will have you Saturday Flyers Jets as the Flyers are gearing up for a return to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. Today's Broad Street bottom line is simply put, and it's going to go once back and forth. It's hard for me to kind of capsulize when we conceived the concept for the Broad Street bottom line. It was supposed to talk about what was the bottom line of the game, what were the turning points, what were some of the underlining, this is what really caused what this caused. But I'm going to have to look a little bit outside on this one because it's kind of what I've been saying it all game long or all show long. It was the manager. To me, I'm sorry, it is. I have to go there, and I know it's such a damn default answer here to blame the manager for the players' problems, but ultimately the players are responsible for their performance on the field. But the manager's got to do a better job of putting players in better positions, and removing Justin Crawford and removing Brandon Marsh for pinch hitters in this game was not an adequate way to send a message to a struggling offense that I mean business. That's just not an adequate way to do that. And I don't know if that's the reason why he took him out. You can tell me matchups till the cows come home. I don't listen. I'm tone deaf to the word matchup anymore. The way this game of baseball is played with such analytic attention, I don't use it anymore. I don't use it anymore. I'm done. I don't want to hear matchups. I don't care about lefty versus righty. I don't care about any of it. Right now, the Phillies are trying to match up or, whatever they're trying to do. They just don't have the players on this team to do it the right way. And I don't hear it. I don't want to hear the word matchup anymore. But to remove your 9-hole hitter and Marsh because of maybe to try to send a message to your team that's struggling offensively, it just is falling a little short of the mark for me. If you want to send a message, take Schwarber's ass out. You know what I mean? Take Stott out again, like you've been doing throughout the season, throughout the game too. Take him out of the lineup, or replace him with a pinch hitter. The Broad Street bottom line for me in this game, and I hate to say the rest of the way, and all the games that have preceded it, is how much of this manager are the Phillies, how much of the manager's inability to in-game adjust or to create a lineup that doesn't necessarily look good for analytics, but actually looks good baseball-wise, and his inability to go with that versus the analytics. How much of this manager are the Phillies paying the price ultimately for their performance on the field? And that's a big, long way of saying how much are the Phillies being held back by their manager? And that is my Broad Street bottom line today, probably tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that, until they fire this fool, until we get him out of here. And again, it's April. They're 6-6. You can't win a World Series in April, but you can lose one. I don't think the Phillies are going to get to that point. A successful April in my book is either at 500 or slightly better and healthy. That's all I look for in my team in April. But just the continuation of the old habits, the continuation of the frustrating stuff that we have become way too accustomed of seeing over the last 5 years is got to stop. I need a new voice in there. I need someone that's going to do something different, man. And if they lose, then so be it. But at least some guy came in and tried something different. This manager's inability to either admit that he's wrong, try something new. And again, baseball is you got to be patient in baseball. I get that. But we've been patient for 5 years. Does he not know that Bryson Stott? I mean, he's known Bryson Stott for 5 years. Actually, he's known him longer than that. He's been here longer than 5 years. So he knows what kind of baseball player Bryson Stott is. Is he really thinking that he's a 5-hole hitter? I mean, does he see something we don't see? Is there another game happening in another universe somewhere that Bryson Stott is a torrid 5-hole hitter? Because I've never seen 5-hole in Bryson Stott. Same like I've never seen 4-hole in Alec Bohm. But yet I've always seen 4-hole in Kyle Schwarber, but we never put him there. I want a 30 for 30 done while Kyle Schwarber doesn't want a bat cleanup. I want a 30-30 on that. I want the real truth about why either A, nobody forces him to go back forth, or B, he's so against it. I want to know. I want to know the real story. I'm getting tired of that crap. So the Broad Street bottom line today for me is how much are the Phillies being held back by their manager? and his inability to make the proper in-game adjustments, and his seemingly inability to build a lineup on any given night. So there you have my Broad Street bottom line. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a fun-filled show today, folks. Welcome to a great, great afternoon. Let's go around the bases. All right, let's talk about what's going on your Wednesday afternoon. Games that are still in progress right now. It is 1-0. The is down. It is 2-0 Reds over the Marlins at that game. They're at my wife and my stepkids and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. Not my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law. Sorry, Ronnie. My I guess step niece and nephews, they're all at that game right now, sitting in Lone Park Depot Stadium right now, and I'm here. Thank God for me. They were able to secure tickets for like $15 a piece down there on field level. So it's good to be a Miami Marlins fan. So if you're ever cruising through the Miami area when your team is in town, I highly suggest checking out going to a game. It's very reasonable financially. But it's 2-0 Reds over the Marlins in the bottom of the first inning. Games that are going to be happening in a little bit, just about now. It's going to be the A's and the Yankees in the Bronx, the Tigers and the Twins in Minnesota. Games that have gone final: 8-2 Padres over the Pirates. It was 10-2 Guardians all over the Royals. 5-0 Red Sox blanking the Brewers, and it was 5-3 the Orioles over the White Sox. Rangers beat the Mariners 3-0. The Blue Jays 4-3 winners over the Dodgers. 9-1 Rockies over the Astros. 6-1 Cardinals over the Nats. It was 8-2 Braves over the Angels. And 7-2 Diamondbacks beat the Mets. So a heavy afternoon slate of games on your Wednesday. For the Phillies, of course, tomorrow, day off. We're coming back home. We get the day off tomorrow. Do we get a new manager tomorrow? I doubt it. But they will be back at it on Friday at the bank against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The tentative pitching matchups for that series: Michael Soroka will go on Friday against Jesus Lazaro on a Saturday, and that's a 6:40 start on ESPN, by the way, for those of you that are not aware of that. On Saturday, a 1 o'clock start, Brandon Piat will face Taijuan Walker, and then the rubber match or the final game on the series will be on Sunday. Very good matchup here. Zach Gallen versus Andrew Painter on Sunday afternoon. So there are your tentative pitching matchups for the Diamondback series here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Here is your Fighting's final schedule for that series. Mike Laro will have you Friday. Remember, there's no Philly Friday frenzy with Big Al this week. He has got a personal matter to attend to. So we're just going to do a standalone Fighting's final, and Big Mike will have you on that call. I will be back for double duty on Saturday and Sunday, and I will take you for the weekend. So that is your Fighting's final schedule for this weekend. And again, I've talked about clear the ice here. It is what it is as we get ready through to get the Red Wings going on. Papernick's checking as I've been calling for the buffoon Robbie's head. Good show. Thank you. Robbie should have been fired 5 minutes ago. He should have been, man. That would make for an awkward plane ride home. You got to give the guy at least an opportunity to fly back with the team. I don't think they're going to fire him. I mean, this could be the chance to do it with the situation, with the day off and everything. But something's got to give here, man. Either he's got to come up and be like, I got to make some changes. I got to be more open to making changes. I got to throw the matchup thing out the window because I don't have a team that I can match up anyway. Even if I could match up, even if I had the players here, or even if I wanted to match up, I should say, I don't have the players that I can adequately match up. It doesn't make any sense for me to try to mix them. It doesn't. So until you start, I just need to see some change. Change one is Alec Bowman, Bryson Stott out of the middle of the lineup forever. Stop messing with these guys. Bryson Stott probably, once he leaves this town in about a year and a half, at the end of the 27th season, when he hits free agency and we don't re-sign him, and he goes to an organization that recognizes what kind of a hitter he is, And I don't really even know what kind of a hitter he is yet because we keep bouncing him around the lineup here. But once somebody finds out what kind of a hitter he is and settles him in a position in the lineup, Bryson Stott's going to scratch out a probably really good part of his career not here. Same thing with Alec Bohm. When Alec Bohm leaves next year as a free agent and somebody signs him, they're going to find out he's a slap hitter, he's a contact hitter. They're going to place him up top of the lineup in like the 2-hole, or they're going to put him down in that 6-7 hole so that he can keep the bases moving and be table setting and potentially get some gift RBIs. Someone's going to do that. Someone's going to figure out that, hey, you're not a cleanup hitter. I don't know who the hell thought you were, but you're not, and I'm going to put you where I think you're going to be, either the top of my lineup or kind of like the bottom middle of my lineup. And then he's probably going to scratch out a great rest of his career. It's not going to happen here because we're going to try to continue the force the square hole round peg theory by making these guys hitters that they're not. So, and Rob Thompson's got to change. He's got to change for the sake of baseball. He's got to change for the sake of the baseball gods. Stop hurting out this lineup. And if your message today to the struggling offense was to remove Justin Crawford for Otto Kemp and to remove Brandon Marsh for Dylan Moore, if that was your message to your struggling offense, you've gone completely tone deaf. You've gone completely off the reservation, and it's time for probably a move to be made. If that's what the overarching decisions were to take those two out of the lineup today, was to send a message, I don't think anyone's getting that message. And they're probably laughing about the message anyway. So there's some issues with Rob Thompson right now. And it might be the fact that he's just lost control. He's lost complete, he has no idea what he's doing. And he is now running his team out of spite for the rest of us who want change. And he's rebelling against us. I don't know what's going on. But are the Phillies being held back because of their manager? And how much more can the Phillies withstand the Rob Thompson effect? Because I think we're hitting a critical mass with this guy about the inability to change, the inability to make an in-game adjustment that makes sense. I don't understand. You've got a rookie center fielder in Justin Crawford who has to learn how to go through situations at this level. He has to learn how to fight his way out of bad slumps, out of all kinds of different scenarios. You're constantly taking him out of the lineup for days off after playing 2 games, or a 6th inning pinch hitter. I mean, we do more pinch hitters in the 9th hole than they did when the pitchers batted in that. Have you noticed that we're pinch hitting more for our 9-hole hitter than they did back in the day in the National League when pitchers batted? That's what's happening with this team right now, and it's pathetic. Let Justin Crawford figure himself out. What the hell? He's batting 9. I mean, he can't really get less impactful than that. Let him figure it out, man. And again, then you remove Crawford and you put Kemp in left field. Is he just not watching the games anymore? Does Rob not even see that Otto Kemp in the 2 games that he's been out in left field has been a nightmare? It ain't like Otto Kemp's played, and I like Otto Kemp, man, in the infield. It ain't like Kemp played 50 games in the outfield with no issues and then had a couple problems along the way. He's played the last 2 games in the outfield and has been an absolute disaster. But you go right back to him in the outfield without any sort of and it just happened yesterday. I think it's tone deaf, man. I get it. You want to get players back out there to shake off the problem and work out the issue. But apparently Justin Crawford doesn't get that same type of that same type of latitude. Brandon Marsh, your hottest hitter in the lineup, you yank him for Dylan Moore. Again, was this a message to your struggling offense that I will not tolerate bad at bats, so I'm going to remove the 9-hole hitter who's a rookie, and I'm going to take out the hottest bat in our lineup, and I'm going to show you guys that I mean business. That's right. Robbie's in charge. If that's the message, man, we got problems. We got big problems here for this damn manager. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say anymore. No, Pepperdink. There will not be a final word tonight. I'm doing the final word kind of here in the post game. So no final word tonight, but I'll be back tomorrow night for the final word. Robbie will move any of the top 3 around. Robbie won't or will. A blind man with a seeing eye dog could put together. I believe you. I believe you. The message I get Tuith Otto Kempf, the non-outfielder. What? The message I get Tuith. What the hell's that? We going old English. In 5 years, Robbie has never made a baseball move without analytics. Also, Robbie can even make the correct move with the analytics. So just fire his Canadian wiffle baller ass. Let's get into that point, man. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Phillies lose 5-0. We got a day off tomorrow, but the Fight's final will be back on Friday. Big Mike will have you on Friday night with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Remember, no Philly Friday frenzy on Friday. So the Fight's final will be a standalone program with Mike Laro as the host, and I will have you over the weekend. So until we talk on the Fight's final on Saturday, and then I'll see you again, guys, back here tomorrow night for the final broadcast episode of our week of the Final Word with Matty B. Where I'll be doing a twofer because I got the Flyers post game as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the Final Word, and I'll see you on Saturday on the Fight's final. Until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Phillies lose 5-0. Is it time to seriously consider a change at manager? Time will tell, I guess, on that one. You guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. See ya.